Hello, I'm Simon.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Wikicast, a podcast where Wikipedia takes us to a random article each week and we talk about what we find. Dan, what are we talking about this week?
Oh, God.
I nearly made it through.
You were so close.
Oh.
This week, Simon, we're talking about rivers in the Wasteland.
Otherwise known as my sinuses at the moment.
Yeah, there we go, yeah.
Cool. And what is that then, Daniel?
Rivers in the Wasteland is the fifth studio album by American Christian rock band Need to Breathe.
Oh, God, this is going to be like the episode we did about dads.
Yeah, absolutely. Released on April. What was it? Was that something about the storm or a hurricane or a... What was that band called?
Oh, no, the band was called Dads, and it was I'll Be the Tornado.
That's it. I knew it was something to do with a storm.
Yeah, there we go.
Be the Tornado.
And what was this one called?
This is Rivers in the Wasteland, is the album by the American Christian rock band Need to Breathe. It was released quite recently. It was released in 2014.
Oh, okay. So Christian rock is a thing. The more up-to-date version of liturgical music.
I suppose so, yeah.
This band is the cool version of what you do, Dan.
Basically.
And that is really saying something.
Would you believe that the album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Christian album chart?
Oh, there we go. It was the Christian Billboard chart.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So, sorry, my brain is mashed potato today. So, tell me more. Do they have a car or something like that?
Well, I can tell you that the album's fourth single, it was called Multiplied, was nominated for a Grammy.
Good grief. Not a Christian Grammy, but like a proper Grammy.
Yeah. It was. Do you know which category it was nominated for?
Is there a Christian music category?
Best Contemporary Christian Music Performance Song.
So that doesn't count. That's not a real Grammy.
I mean, yeah. It's the album's fifth and final the album's fifth and final single, Brother, proved to be the band's biggest hit to date, peaking at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Oh, the full Hot 100 now?
Yeah, the full, not even the Christian Hot 100. The Christian lukewarm 100.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the whole album goes for 45 minutes.
So can you tell me some other track titles? Because Christian rock is like... this is American Christian rock as well, so it's probably going to be quite evangelical, I guess.
Yeah, so we've got 12 tracks in total. We have Wasteland as number 1. Mm-hmm. The State I'm In, number 2. Feet Don't Fail Me Now, number 3. Oh Carolina, number 4. 5, Difference Maker. Maker is capitalised because it's like God. Clever.
Ah.
6 is Rise Again because it's like Jesus, remember.
Like Big J-Man.
7 is The Heart. Okay.
Like has
8,
the heart, or just
Desireth
the
the
heart.
Waterbrooks. 8 is Where the Money Is.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, and the track is called Where the Money Is. 9, Multiplied. 10, Brother, which was that one I spoke about. 11, More Heart, Less Attack.
Most
and
importantly, he multiplies snack.
12 is Say Please.
Please.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, well, that was easy. So do you have any lyrics for these things? Because like in my head, this is the kind of music that they play to the youth to, like try and stealth them into the church, because being Christian is cool and hip and like you can listen to rock. We don't think it's the devil's music at all. Kind of content. So, but are the lyrics like for Multiply? That sounds like, for example, it's going to be all about going forth and multiplying, and how to be a good Christian you have to have lots of children.
Okay, I found the lyrics.
Here we go.
Not going to lie, it reads like the kind of poetry I wrote in year 12.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Okay, here we go. This is Multiplied, a dramatic reading by
Daniel
me.
Moore, Esquire.
Yeah, Esquire, the third. Multiplied. Your love is like radiant diamonds, bursting inside us we cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us, like blazing wildfires singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the skies, these hallelujahs be multiplied. Your love is like radiant diamonds, bursting inside us we cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us, like blazing wildfires, singing your name. And then in brackets, multiplied, brackets, O, multiplied. That's, I imagine, some form of bridge.
Wow. This is amazing. This is iconic. I hope you realise now.
Every single verse is is the same.
Oh, they just copied and pasted the verses.
There are two verses to this song. Yeah.
Wow. And this was a band that was nominated for a Grammy.
Yes. So that was the song that was nominated for a Grammy.
Oh, sorry. That was the peak of their songwriting.
Yes. So
wow.
now, was there another one that they said? Okay, so Brother was the biggest hit. Okay. So I'm now going to look up the lyrics to Brother.
I know. I thought I knew it, and then I realised I was thinking about the Avicii. Hey, brother. Oh, yeah. I don't think it's going to be that somehow.
No. That's almost satanic. We can't have any of that. Okay, here we go.
Satanic mechanic.
This is
just
some
sweet transvestites.
Yeah, they definitely wouldn't be singing about that, would they? This is a second dramatic reading for the day.
Oh, God, I shouldn't have done that thing. Saxophone.
That's lovely.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
Here we go. This is Brother by Need to Breathe. Ramblers in the wilderness, we can't find what we need. We get a little restless from the searching, get a little worn down in between. Like a bull chasing the matador is the man left to his own schemes. Everybody needs someone beside him, shining like a lighthouse from the sea. Brother, let me be your shelter. Never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress. When the night winds are driving on, be the one to light the way, bring you home.
Bring me home. I assume that sounded like there should have been a repeat there.
Almost Heaven, West Virginia. Yeah, okay.
Wow. Okay, okay, right. So we now have a sense of the lyrics of this song. So can you tell me a bit more about this album? Have you noticed, by the way, how I'm trying to offer as little as possible, and I'm leaning very heavily on you because I cannot.
No, that's fine.
We should explain a little bit. Sorry, I have a hideous cold at the moment, and I have.
If you couldn't already tell,
because I sound like I come from New Zealand, I just have been at home all day, struggling to do anything. Mostly watching videos about something which we're going to talk about in Critics Corner, I imagine.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so I am barely here, to be honest with you guys. So Dan, the show's on you. If this one rises or falls, it is entirely on your shoulders and future editing, Simon. So good luck.
I'm sure if the listenership are as excited about hearing about the critical reception of this incredible band, Rivers in the Wasteland, then it's all going to be fine.
You. Sorry.
The first sentence is. I don't want to say underwhelming because I don't want to be too cruel, but it might be the most underwhelming piece of criticism I think I've ever read.
Does it just go? That's all right.
We kick off the reception. Rivers in the Wasteland received mostly positive reviews from music critics. That's the first sentence.
No, I feel like there could have been a lot
positive.
worse. It was like if it just went mediocre reviews, it would have been like truly like just sad. Mostly positive is how most things that are good are received, right?
Oh my God, it gets worse. Okay, here we go. So the second sentence is a quote from Tony Cummings, founder of Cross Rhythms. Now I imagine Cross Rhythms must be some form of Christian music. Yeah, a Christian media organisation based in Stoke-on-Trent, England.
The most glamorous of all English cities.
Amazing. Cross Rhythms, if you're listening, shout out. He rated, rated the album a perfect 10 squares, calling it a delicious album that demonstrates once again that when you've got quality songwriting and a band on top of their game, all resistance melts away.
Sorry, their measurement system is squares.
Yeah.
So the bands are literally square and there.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's at CCM magazine. Matt Connor rated the album 4 stars out of 5, calling the release a spirited affair. Good one.
Nice.
On which has Need to Breathe signature southern rock stomps circles round Bear Reinhardt's distinct vocal for another 11-song feast that might just be their best yet.
I'm sorry, that sentence. I mean, I don't think that sentence would have made sense to me when I was not ill.
No, this person needs to. And I mean, if you're trying to explain what a clause is, I imagine he'll pass out.
Santa Claus is the work of the devil.
Yeah.
Shut up, son. I will pray for you. So you can
Someone
tell what
else-
I've been watching this afternoon.
Someone else says the entire thing is great from beginning to end and back again. A Hobbit's Tale by Bilbo Baggins. So from what I can understand, the music's been received quite well. I kind of want to listen to now that. What was their good one, Brother?
We could probably put 6 seconds in and get away with it. I feel
Okay.
but also this is fair use because we're commenting on, we're commenting on the quality of the music. This comes under the Fair Use Act. Or,
Yeah, when we're glorifying God at the same time.
Exactly.
It's literally a win-win.
Praise
Okay,
be
I'm going
unto
to
his
listen
name.
to the first part of Brother now. Do you want to? Shall I send you a link so you can listen as well?
Yes, I would like
Okay.
that, please.
Oh no, that's not right. Awkward.
What is that? That's a password.
No, it's a. Oh god, this is going to be something.
Oh, hello. Let me just Google what that is.
It needs a letter in
It's-
front of it.
It's a pipe.
It's a type of pipe. Yeah.
Why was this in your clipboard?
No reason.
Is it a magic pipe?
I wish.
No, that is actually a like Google response.
Oh, right.
Savinelli 320. Is it a magic pipe?
Well, there we go. Apparently, it's very good. Anyway, here's Brother. Need to breathe. Wow, that piano. Fucking hell. Out of nowhere.
This is exactly what I thought it would be. I'm just going to pause it a second. That is the like the type of singing you do when you sing like Jack Black. You keep your lips under as much tension as possible while smiling. Like a bird caught in the barrel, the matador left to do. That kind of like terrible. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh because this is. I'm sure that they are very proud of this work, but yeah.
To be honest, I think my dramatic reading was just as good.
It's like a Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, that's right.
But imagine biblical leviathans. That's what this band should be called. Imagine leviathans.
Yes. Okay. Psalm 104. That's what I was trying to remember. It's a really cool psalm. So there's this great piece of music. I may have spoken about it last week. Called "They That Go Down to the Sea in Ships" by Herbert Sumption.
I think you might have mentioned it. Yeah.
I'm just having to check. It is Herbert is his first name, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. Cool. That would have been embarrassing. Anyway, if I didn't talk about it, I think I did. It's brilliant, and it's amazing, and the text is awesome. But on that same day, we happened to be singing Psalm 104 and didn't realise it. And the first line of that psalm is, "There goes the ships, there is that Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play therein." It's a really cool, dramatic kind of trapped in a storm kind of. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
What I'm getting from this is my version of Christian music is far superior to your shitty version of Christian music. Imagine leviathans.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Sumption did it better, but Sumption did it better.
Yeah, there we go. Actually, that's a point. No. I will save that for Critics Corner. There's 2 things I want to talk about in Critics Corner. Okay, right. So we're being derailed as always by literally anything that is not the article. What more can you tell me about the article, Daniel? Because I'm sure there is more in this mine.
We can end on a high note and talk about its commercial performance. So this album in question, Rivers in the Wasteland, debuted at number 3 on the US Billboard 200 chart. That's just the general charts. That's not like a Christian subset. Selling 49,000 copies in its first week of release.
Wow.
The sales were good enough for number 1 on the top Christian albums and top rock albums charts and number 6 on the Canadian albums chart. As of January 2015, the album has sold 150,000 copies in the US.
That's pretty good.
Oh my god! So on the Wikipedia page, underneath the the little profile card in the top right corner, underneath that kind of standard one where you've got like when was the album released, the studio, the genre, blah blah blah. Underneath it says professional ratings, and we've got several different sources, review sources, and their star rating next to it, with the exception of Cross Rhythms, who literally have 10 squares instead of stars.
Why? I mean, is it possible that those aren't actually squares, but they're meant to be another emoji?
No, they are squares.
They're
Because Pop Matters is the bottom one, and they have yellow circles.
But it might be that there's a particular like, Unicode thing that isn't being represented. Like, surely they can't actually rate things with squares. Surely.
I mean,
what was
I'm
the name
pretty
of the
sure
publication
I don't
again?
think it's a Unicode. I think that's generally what they've chosen as a to represent the square. I mean, it might be a slightly different square from what's on their website, but I imagine this is clearly the Wikipedia standard for something that reviews in squares for some stupid reason.
Hang on, I'm on crossrhythms.co.uk.
Yeah.
Music chart. Do you know what the current oh god, so what am I looking at? This is the Cross Rhythms top 10 for this week. The week beginning the 21st of October. Do you want to have a stab at what's at number 1?
Is it Sumption, They That Go Down to the Sea in Ships?
No, as a matter of fact, hang on, in the top 10, none of these I recognise at all. It's from an album called Look Up Child. Lauren
Daigle, Still Rolling Stones. I listened to it the other day.
Oh, so maybe this isn't just Christian music then. This is
No, it's not. I'm just on the website. I'm messing around.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Oh my god, it's got a number 4. It's Hugo's long lost brother.
Oh, Phil Wickman.
Yeah, Phil Wickman with Breath Away. I don't know whether that's a typo.
I think it's quite possibly
from the album Living Hope.
So I'm looking at Lauren Daigle's Look Up Child, which has been rated with squares on their website. So I think perhaps
and it's the same squares.
Wow. As we all know, Lauren's How Can It Be was the best-selling CCM album for years. Contemporary Christian music. I'm delighted to report this second album is in every way a better album, and I have no doubt the Look Up Child will be given the Louisiana-born singer worldwide Christian radio hits for 3 or more years to come.
Oh my god, it's only bloody Tony Cummings reviewing it again.
Do you reckon this is just hit? Is every one of these reviews him?
About Us. Is there like a Meet the Team?
No. There's the number 2, which is Third Day Revival. I wonder what that could be about. It was reviewed by Andrew Wallace.
Oh.
It's treason, then. Presumably a different Wallace. For those of you, I'll have to put that in the show notes. For those of you who haven't seen Star Wars Episode 3, but it's Wallace instead of Palpatine, it's really quite something.
Yeah, that is pretty great, isn't it? I am the Senate.
I am the Senate. I miss Wallace and Gromit. Like, do you remember when? Perhaps this was a bit before your time, but I was a kid when like all the Oscar-winning short films were coming out like semi-regularly, because they did obviously Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and then there was a gap, and they did A Matter of Loaf and Death.
Which was a bit rubbish.
Yeah, I wasn't terribly impressed by that. I mean, like Curse of the Were-Rabbit was great, but it wasn't Chicken Run, which it was following up from what I think is the best animated film. Like a traditional animated film, not traditional, a stop motion animated film ever. Yeah, and it is still the top grossing stop motion animated film ever.
Crikey!
Yeah, I was quite surprised. I thought the Wallace and Gromit would have smashed past it, but apparently not.
I made the mistake of watching. Well, hang on. I think we need to move corner.
Yeah, okay, we've probably just about covered this in enough depth, I think, by now.
To be honest, I don't think there's anything else I can glean from this article that it is of vague interest.
It's contemporary Christian music, guys. It's about God, but it's trying to be hip and trendy and generally fails at being both, okay? Yeah. Let's move on to Critics' Corner. Right, Dan, what fresh hell awaits us here?
Well, I was going to say, I made the mistake of watching Early Man.
Oh, which was the latest Aardman film. Yes.
Aardman, yeah, absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, it did. It kind of just disappeared. It didn't bomb. It just disappeared without trace.
Yeah, I don't know what it's got a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Let's see what The Guardian says about it. 4 out of 5 stars. Who reviewed this? Steve Rose. Steve Rose, you're chatting out your arse, sunshine.
Oh, that reminds me, whilst I remember, did you see that Mark Kermode has just started a new film podcast with Jack Howard?
Oh, as in Jack from
Jack and Dean, the YouTuber, who and because I know that he has spoken about him very positively, Mark Kermode that is, when talking about Infinity War and how he's like a young film critic that he's had his eye on as a good critic. But yeah, talk about sort of acceptance into the mainstream media of YouTube creators.
That's awesome.
But yeah, sorry, that just popped into my mind because it was on my feed the other day. I nearly sent it to you. The two things that have made me think Dan, other than that time I saw an absolute twat in the street, were that and when I saw that Dodie was doing a collaboration with Jacob Collier, which is terribly exciting because
very, very exciting.
I've been binging a lot of his stuff recently, actually, Jacob Collier, and he's obviously a very, very talented, quite precocious guy.
He's ludicrously gifted.
Yeah. And he knows it, but like he isn't terribly smug about it. So he's a nice guy. You get the impression. And the idea of him doing something with Dodie is just quite exciting. We're both fans of both of them. Anyway, you were saying about Early Man.
Yeah. I made the mistake of watching it because I saw that I could rent it, so I did, and then I watched it, and then I regretted renting it, which is a bit of a shame, really. But there we go. What did I also watched? I finally got around to watching Deadpool 2. Oh,
well, now what did you make of that? Because I've seen that.
I thought it was good. I don't think it was as good as the first one. But it would be so hard to hit the mark.
Well, exactly. Yeah, the thing about the first one was it was so wildly original. It was unlike anything else, and so sort of necessarily, if you're going to do a sequel to that, it has to be somehow similar to it, you know. And so, like, basically this film was very similar to the first one, but because then it wasn't original, it wasn't as good. So it was kind of doomed to fail from the start. But yes, I agree with you. I thought it was very fun, very fine, very fun,
very, very fine, very fine. Now I'm sure there was something else. Oh, tell you what I did watch. I watched a really, really excellent video essay on the first Pirates of the Caribbean film.
Oh, no, this was why it was accidentally awesome or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. An accidentally genius or something.
Yes, that was it.
It's very, very, very good. I thought
keep finding these YouTube channels like that are just seem to come out of the out of nowhere, and you're like, how have I not noticed? This thing come out of absolutely nowhere. Like the thing I said about Cosmonaut Variety Hour in the last episode, really well developed, well known channel that I just somehow completely missed. And I swear I find one of these about once a week. It makes you wonder how many people find me that way. The answer seems to be very few because the channel's in a bit of a slump at the moment. But there we go. So, I'm glad that other people are getting success out of it anyway. Oh, it was Reality Punch Studios. Sorry, I was just Googling whilst we were talking. Reality Punch Studios. They did a video on why they love The Last Jedi. Okay, I don't like this channel anymore. Although, another one, if I'm to recommend another one that I found recently, is Captain Midnight. So they came to my attention because I don't know if you saw this, but Vox did a video on why the Marvel Cinematic Universe sucks, or like why it feels so empty, I think was how they phrased it. And I'm just going to pull up the statistics for you because it didn't go down well. Let's put it like that. This video the video that Vox did, it has 1.7 million views. And it was published just over a week ago. And it has 31,000 likes and 97,000 dislikes.
Oh my god.
So that ratio is very heavily in the wrong way. Like you'd never see a video like that. And basically it was quite an incoherent thing. But the one positive that I got out of it was this channel called Captain Midnight, who just knows everything there is to know about comic books, like old school. And so he was going through and basically refuting all the points that Vox made in the video and saying like, yeah, this bit was good, and this I actually kind of agree with Vox here, but then you're drawing a false comparison because I think one of the problems was they were trying to argue that like the MCU, as in the Marvel Extended Universe, started like way further back than it actually did. And like I really liked his editing style and his writing style, so I included a link to that in the description. That is my YouTube channel find of the week.
Yeah, nice.
But so before we get on to talking about something that I know we both want to talk about, did you get the opportunity to listen to Choral Evensong on BBC Radio 3 on Wednesday?
I did indeed.
And
from Blackburn Cathedral.
And what did you hear?
We had a very, very, very tasty introit written by the one, the only Big Gay Bear, Dr. Ed Jones.
Dr. Ed Donkey Dick Jones.
Yeah.
Who is a friend of ours. He was at Exeter Cathedral, and he wrote a piece of music that was performed liturgically on Radio 3. Like, that's a huge deal. I was so happy
amazing,
for him.
Really.
And the rest of the service was quite an interesting one. I didn't know the canticles, but they were...
Kelly and C.
Yeah, they were like Latin American inspired.
Yeah.
They had like very unusual rhythms.
They're very cool. I've sung them. In fact,
you?
one of the organ scholar of Homerton College, Cambridge, whom I got along with like a house on fire. He loves those canticles. So I saw there was in the Choral Evensong Appreciation Society Facebook page, because that's a thing. They said that it happened to be Kelly and C, and I tagged him in that, being like, "Oh, you better tune in, mate," because it's your favourite. They're very good. They're good fun. I've now sung them because we did them in the cathedral in my first week or something.
Oh wow! Talk about in the deep end, because they don't sound terribly easy.
They're not actually that hard.
Okay.
I think it's kind of rhythmically different, but once you get around that, it's not a difficult sing.
Although
they are interesting.
The Nunc Dimittis in the performance was another favourite of ours, which was the Holst Nunc. Though, what did you think of the performance?
Well, I followed the post within this Facebook group quite closely, because I was curious as to see what people were saying, especially because I wanted to hear their thoughts on the intro, on Ed's Light in Our Darkness motet, which is very, very lovely and very Jones in its kind of compositional style.
But it's bitonal, isn't it? Is the sort of the key thing.
It's a very Blackburn's got a very swimming acoustic, I would say.
Yes.
I think it's probably a beautiful building to be there and listen to a service, but I don't think the recording did it any favours at all, and that's probably due to how they had microphones. For instance, the altos were like the loudest part in most of that recording.
Yeah, you could barely hear the basses.
That's just really because it's much like in Exeter Cathedral's nave. As soon as if you're singing, if the choir are singing in the nave, so in front of the golden gates before you step into the choir, QUIRE. If the basses aren't quite loud enough, you kind of reach the transept and go a little bit far forward, a little bit more further forward, as if it's kind of just standing at the start of where the congregation are. The basses just suddenly disappear. You cannot hear anything because of the way the building works. It picks up a particular register and will carry that and give you quite tremendous support. But for basses, it's a nightmare. And I thought that it didn't do Blackburn's sound justice, because it was very hard to hear the balance because there wasn't any.
I'd agree with that, and I'd also say that in the whole specifically, I thought the trebles kind of lost the plot at one point. It was a shame, really, because it's a lovely piece, and like you say, the elements of the recording made it difficult anyway. But I was listening and I was like, oh, that's like, it just sort of fell off the tracks a little bit. And then I think it was when it goes into unison, they kind of cue back in and they got their pitch right again.
The Gloria.
Yeah, the Gloria.
It's nice when a piece does that, because if it does start to go off the rails, you can just kind of have this moment to reset and kind of go back through, which is why it's such a doing a lot of Paul Mealer's stuff when we did it with singers who hadn't done Mealer before. It's a very challenging piece to sing. I think harmonically, because there's an awful lot of crunch. It's also very, very close in kind of texture, but also the kind of dynamic range, if you like, of the pieces. You're going from like PPP to FF within maybe a 4-bar phrase. So to be able to kind of achieve that, it can be quite daunting. So it's nice that nearly all of his pieces have these moments of a complete stop of the sound, and then a start again, just like how the piece starts as the beginning, almost like as a refrain or an echo. So it does give you these moments to go, it's all right. I mean, do the best that you can. And if it starts going a little bit awry, it's cool. We have this moment to kind of reset both the kind of the pitch and just people's general kind of confidence and not getting too worried.
I feel like there's a massive art to being able to write a piece of music that does that, because it's one thing like to do something that is incredibly technically difficult and sounds great, but at the end of the day, music is meaningless and like worthless if it can't be performed. And I suppose you could get into a philosophical argument about what is the value of music, and like, is music only music if it is performed. And so do you not want your music to be performed as widely as possible in an accessible way as possible? And I feel like that's why a lot of people tout like Handel's Messiah as being such an amazing piece of music, because it is so accessible to kind of choirs of all levels, And like in writing a particular piece, like you said about what Mila does, the being able to code in those moments of like they're almost like save points, like in a game, where you can come back to it and be like, okay, no, we're back on track now, we're okay.
Or if you're going like rock climbing, mountaineering, and you get to another step where you can lock off in a new particular spot and go, okay, I'm all right for now, and then you've got to work out a bit and unclip yourself and take the risk and try and get to that next kind of rung or
is it a pinion grip. Is that the bit that you I
don't know.
Climbing? Hang on. Climbing. I thought it was called.
This because you have like is it a carabiner that you use to?
That's the kind of loop of metal that you use.
Right, yeah. So you can you can fasten yourself 2 points.
It's a piton. That's it.
There you go.
Which is I believe French for peg. It's literally just like a peg that you jam into the rock. But yeah, exactly that. And if you fall off the pitch, then you can kind of. Certainly in performance, you can't really go back to a moment, but it's a point of. I suppose it's almost like. A river getting very narrow at one point. You know where all the water's going to go, and then between those points you're on a more of a floodplain, and it can extend either side for a bit, but then you guide it back in, and then the more frequently you guide it back in, the less that it spreads. I've been reading the Belle Sauvage, the Book of Dust, and there's a lot of flooding in that. It is excellent, by the way.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I talked about it like 2 episodes ago, and I'm probably going to finish it tonight, maybe tomorrow. It's absolutely excellent book. I love his Dark Materials. But wow, what have you been watching today, Dan?
Well, I literally had to drag myself away from it before we started this session. I think I've watched about 12 to 15 minutes of new footage from Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a game that Simon and I have followed really quite closely since it was announced that it was in development, and they released that kind of like that 30-second cinematic teaser trailer. And now the game is it out now or is it out tomorrow? I think it's out tomorrow.
I think it's out this evening. I think or it might be out at midnight. Rooty, Tooty, McShooty 2.
Yes.
As what was like Steely Wheely Automobili, now bring you Rooty Tooty Shooty 2.
Yeah. But it looks incredible. As I say, I haven't seen the video. I'm kind of thinking about it specifically is Hat Film's new kind of first look. It's about an hour long, and Simon's already seen that. But I'm about 12 minutes in, so I'm desperately going to nip off and watch that while before I go to bed. But I also may have partly added to the enjoyment of my watching. I went into Whittard's the other day.
Oh yeah,
yeah, which is a very, very nice tea and coffee shop that we have in Exeter, but it's all across the UK. I believe it's a franchise, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Relatively exclusive as franchises go.
I think so. I mean, it's not as niche as somewhere like Bluebird Tea Company, which is this amazing kind of tea mixologist, if you like, in Bristol. I think they may have another.
That's the most sentence you've ever said. Sorry.
They're really good. For someone who really, really does love tea. I like coffee, and I know when I've had a good coffee, but tea is really kind of where it's at for me. Bluebird are absolutely incredible. And I went there when I visited Bristol for the first time, but it was very nice. Anyway, Whittard's is very good, and I went in and I picked up. I didn't mean to buy anything, which is so often the case, but then I did, and I picked up 2 different hot chocolate mixes. I'm going to go with one of which was called hot chocolate and then Dreamtime. So it's kind of like a hot chocolate crossed with a kind of malted drink
with
thing.
Chloroform.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was really very, very nice. I massively like Horlicks, or Ovaltine, whichever you prefer, which is a kind of malted drink that we have here in the UK. It may well be available elsewhere. I don't know, but it's very nice. But this is kind of like a mix between the two. But more excitingly, and I've only just opened it and tried it. I bought a dark hot chocolate mix with chili. And it's meant to be kind of like an Aztec throwback to how they would do hot chocolate, the original hot chocolate.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's a dark hot chocolate with chili in it. So you get this kind of fiery blanket of heat on every sip. Nothing so oppressive to be like, oh god, it's really spicy. Nothing like that ghost chili chocolate that we saw, or the Carolina Reaper chocolate, whatever it was. But yeah, this was. I'm a big fan. It's very much a game changer.
I really wish I liked hot chocolate. I might have to give it a go at like another go. Well, no,
I think you probably would like it
because I really do like chocolate. I'm a big fan.
And if you went to a dessert and you had like a hot brownie or something.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing, really.
It's
just a texture thing. I feel like my brain revolts if I put any liquid that is hot that is not lemsip into my mouth.
Yeah.
Or hot squash. Like but that's like purely just a learned behavior. In the same way,
or a hot toddy.
Hot toddy.
Right.
You know, the list of drinks is growing. But that's just purely a learned behavior. I've realized, like, it's just tricking my brain into being like, it's fine. You're not going to die. Like, I don't like the smell of tea. I find the smell of tea repulsive. So I know that I'm not going to like drinking it in the same way that, like, if a food smells horrible, you almost certainly aren't going to enjoy eating it. And and I don't mind with tea. A coffee I quite like the smell of, but also not terribly fussed. Whereas hot chocolate is like, I just really, I really wish I liked it. You know,
I think you should give it a go. I mean, while I was in Whittards, I was with Ed. I was catching up with him, and they had to try. They've brought out a load of kind of seasonal specials. One of which was a sticky toffee pudding, white hot chocolate mix.
Oh, that sounds sickly AF.
Yeah, see, now that is exactly what I would read that and go, that's just silly. That's like, what? That's
Stop it, you.
That could not be further from being up my street. You know, it's in a different village, in a different postcode.
Different city.
And you have no access to this. Yeah, this is how much I would not like it. Anyway, Ed tried it and was like, oh, that's really good. And I think he ended up buying some. And I refused point blank for about 10 minutes just to not go anywhere near the stuff because I don't like white chocolate anyway. If it's really sweet and sickly, I won't like it. But I eventually caved and got some in a little kind of sippy plastic, like a shot glass, and tried it. And it blew my mind on how it literally just tasted like I was drinking sticky toffee pudding. And I don't mind that, but because it was in a hot chocolatey form and there was like a milkiness to it, so it wasn't super strong.
Right.
Oh god, I drank it and I was genuinely just dumbstruck for about 2 minutes, just sitting there going,
just sat there, with your mouth open, just gazing off with 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, I think it probably didn't help too that I was the most hungover I've been in a very long time.
Oh, I love those moments. Because the thing is, I realise I'm putting a massive target on my head by saying this. I just don't really get hangovers. I've never had a bad hangover in my life.
Well, see, the thing is, when I say hangover, I don't mean, you know, I woke up and was immediately I could not function, was throwing up every half an hour. You know, I don't get hungover like that. I woke up and I think there must have absolutely been alcohol still in my system because I woke up and felt absolutely fine. And then while I went into town to meet Ed, I slowly had this kind of weird feeling of rather than being kind of present in my own body, I was drifting maybe 2 feet above myself.
You were in the Red Dead Redemption camera that's like 2 feet behind you.
Yes, absolutely. And then I think after being in Whittards, I then really started to crash quite spectacularly. And by the time we'd stopped for some lunch and I had some soup and a cup of tea because I thought I might be able to manage that, I remember kind of finishing the soup and just looking at Ed and going, if I'm not on my sofa in the next 20 minutes, things are going to go very badly wrong. And then I ended up just sitting outside in the garden for about, an hour listening to a Harry Potter audiobook and recovering, and then I was fine. I didn't feel bad. I just felt so... I crashed. I completely crashed.
I just like watching or hearing from afar, more practically, about these days that people have. Like, I've had friends who have messaged me after we've all been on a big night out or something, or they've been on a big night out and we're on a group chat together, and you get updates on how they're feeling, and the fact that like it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. It's like I've just got up, threw up, and immediately went back to bed. Like death claim me now, like that kind of thing. And it's like I don't know why, because I don't get to experience it like a conservative or a Republican. I'm just like, doesn't affect me. This is just funny. So I am a monster on the inside. Possibly.
There we go.
Though the monster is currently dripping out of my nose, I can assure you. So just to actually, because we touched back on it, I touched back on it again. Do you think you might get Red Dead 2 then?
I don't know. I would say probably not, given that I've got plenty to be getting along with.
Yeah.
But I'm also quite enjoying
your life.
I'm slowly working my way through Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh, nice.
Which is really cool. Obviously, we're playing it in a house where two of us do ancient history.
Yeah.
It's really cool. We were running around Delphi the other day, just being like banter. It was very, very interesting.
Did you see the Oracle was at Delphi, right?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
But yeah, that's really cool. It's not by no means a perfect game, but it's just a good bit of fun, and I liked it. I don't really play. I much prefer to, with the exception of like World of Warcraft. I never really played that many games. I always either would go to a friend's house, and I got like such pleasure from watching them play games. I love to be the person who just kind of sat and watched and maybe made some suggestions, and was just that nice to be out of the house and
like
around
what people do now on YouTube. It was just that you were there in person.
That's all I did. Like for years and years and years, I would get my kicks. Like I know games so well, like I've played them, because I've watched someone doing a full playthrough of a game,
Yeah.
Whereas for me to actually play it myself is quite rare. But
I
may get it.
But you would describe yourself as a gamer.
I guess so, yeah.
But the thing
a gamer
is, like,
by proxy. I'm like a proto-gamer.
You're a cultural gamer. It's like when people say they're a cultural Christian because they've grown up in a society or in like a C of E school. They know the law and they know the background and all that kind of thing, but they don't actively participate in it. So they're culturally Christian. So like, because I'd probably say the same for me. Like, but I really do love playing games, and like I seem to go full obsessive onto a game like Civ, where I'll just disappear. Like it just eats my life.
Or like the Kingdoms and Castles, something that's fairly low brain power, just kind of nice thing to kind of get lost in. I think my favourite games are things where you can really immerse yourself in what you're playing.
So, and that's the danger with Red Dead, is that it does look so immersive. Like you would just, the rest of the world vanishes, and suddenly, you can't see outside of the screen. It's because I don't know. I don't have a console, and it's not coming out on PC for a while, probably. So I probably won't get it. But I mean, to be honest, I've started streaming more regularly now. So I'm aiming for 2 streams a week at the moment, which is one maths educational stream, and then one which is just kind of whatever game I fancy playing.
Knitting or Duolingo or sorry, no, that's my forehead.
That's your forehead. Sorry, I mean I know you two are close. You're literally molecularly attached.
Yeah.
But it's been Kerbal mostly, and I'm still gonna get that bloody rover onto the service of Juna. I'm determined to actually do it one day. And getting over it, which seems to be exclusively played with shitty flute in the background. And then this weekend, because it's the spooktacular weekend before Halloween, I think I'm gonna try and play Slender Man. I
tell you what you should play on stream. And if this is, I'm looking forward now to Saturday, when those who are tuned in to the live airing of the episode, can you all spam Simon and say for the spooktacular you would request him to play Amnesia: The Dark Descent?
Oh no, please!
Because that is a brilliant game, and it's terrifying.
There's a limit. I don't play spooky games. I don't watch spooky films. Funnily enough, I don't like being scared because it's a horrible emotion.
Well, tough. It's Halloween, and you have to play it now.
Well, no, I don't have. I'm going to play a spooky game.
Why don't we try and find a day that you're going to stream?
Like it'll be this Sunday. It'll be this Sunday.
It'll be this Sunday. Okay. Well, I'm on half term, which means that I don't have any services to sing. So I'm free, and I think that you should do Amnesia, and I'll screen share you through what's it called, Steam, and be with you on the stream for so then there's some moral support. You're talking to somebody else. It's like someone else is there. Otherwise, I could just come up to no.
It's a very long journey.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you should absolutely play Amnesia though. That would be amazing.
Oh, why did I mention this? Yeah. Okay. Fine. We'll talk
It's
about
really
that after
fun,
the stream.
and the thing is, it's not like it's just eerie because it's so atmospheric. Like the monster you see very, very rarely. There's only one, and when he's there, you're like, oh. And bearing in mind this game is quite dated now, so it's graphically not that incredible. I mean, you can buy the remastered version, which I think is probably what you have to do, but.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
let's do that.
I'll
That'll be
think
fun.
about it, and if not that, it'll be Slenderman or something. But my point being, I'm streaming quite regularly, and so it's actually giving me an excuse to get back into games. And it gives me like 2 hours a week where I can be like, yeah, I want to play a game, and like if I'm putting it on Twitch, it's in some way helping to build my presence online, so I can justify it from a business perspective. And like for some reason, people give me money sometimes, like Danvi, who's just determined to strip himself of his life savings by just paying me off in small chunks at a time. I can basically justify procrastinating by monetizing it. And so, yeah, I've actually been getting much more into it. And in particular, I'm looking forward to doing the stream sometime in November, probably over a couple of days, to be honest, playing Civ 6. And so, I don't know. I could just see myself actually now, this is the year, or the next 12 months, do want to try do Twitch regularly, is actually when I do start to get back into gaming and do as much gaming as I would have liked to have done, and rather than just being a cultural gamer like I was before.
Yes, yeah.
So... just before we end off this section, whilst we've been talking, I've from Twitter pulled up Merriam-Webster, which is the American knockoff of the Oxford English Dictionary, have done a thing where you can search through their dictionary by the year that an entry is first noted as happening, the first recorded instance of a word. So now you were 1997, is that right? You were born?
Yes.
Right. So in the year you were born, the words auto-tune, emoji, freegan, friends with benefits, and smackdown were used for the first time.
Good lord.
Along with a bunch of the judgy. No, off was judgy not used until 1997. Along with words like marker.
As in a permanent one or a whiteboard one?
No, marka, money table. Oh god.
Are these Americanisms?
Oh no. This must be a currency. It's a currency of some kind. Okay. Generation Z was another one, which is quite surprising how like early that is. Whereas if I go all the way back to the dim mystical land of 1990, big box, black hat, fire. No, that was not true. C difficile, cryptocurrency, geek out, very appropriately, hoodie, MMA, props, shout out, tighty whities, and World
props,
Wide Web.
Props to you for that amazing.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
my year seems to be very hip internet user. Props to you for the shout out, dude. On the World Wide Web.
That's so wizard. Wow.
I'm just here to geek out over my Mook Mansion. What's that? A very large house built in a usually suburban neighbourhood or development.
Made entirely of McDonald's fries.
Oh, regarded critically as oversized and ostentatious. So it's the Team 10 house, basically.
Right.
Along with tighty whities of all the years. God. Wow.
That's bizarre.
Give me a year. And I think this goes all the way back to before the 12th century. So give me a year, and we'll see what was when something first appeared.
1066.
Freedom. No, okay. No, okay. Everything before the 12th century is just lumped together. So there's a whole buttload of words.
Okay.
So
that's
I'd recommend going the years starts from 1500 is the first regular one, and then there are centuries between 12th and 15th.
Let's go with 1606.
1606. Wow, loads of words. Good grief. I was not expecting so many. Okay. Abruption, acquirable, ad libitum, cold-blooded, coulda, eavesdrop, Macbeth, matriarch, ravined, proscenium, three-quarter. Wow. I would never have guessed that these were so many came from specifically that year. Orchestra was apparently used for the first time in 1606.
Wow.
Give me another one.
Okay, 1884.
1884. Varmint! No. Bloody hell, so many. That's like 100 words. Crosshair, alphabet soup, date book.
Alphabet soup?
Yeah, alphabet soup.
Wow, that's awesome. That's the coolest thing we've ever found on this podcast.
Alphabet
That's amazing.
Soup, patented 1884.
That's so cool.
Just below that on the list is assisted suicide.
Oh, wow.
Along with Brit, bird of paradise, crosshair, giant cactus, hamburger, interstimulation, kombu, killer whale, overspill, paginate, popfly, sand dollar.
Overspill is what you get when you ask a killer whale to open your alphabet soup.
No, overspill is what happens when I put on tight trousers, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've got a bit of muffin top going on. This is absolutely amazing, though. I never... Hang on. What? It's something interesting that happened. Oh, 1543. That's an interesting year. Yeah, okay, yeah. So 1543 is a number that I've noticed follows me around everywhere, and I think I notice it because it was the year when Vesalius published his Anatomy of the Human Body. So it was like the first... work which kind of advanced like anatomical medicine since the time of the Romans, and so I don't know why, but I know that it came out that year, and I noticed the time 1543 or the number 1543 everywhere, and so unsurprisingly there's a bunch of words here like anatomist, swinger apparently was penetrant, swinger, and comity were all used for the first time in 1543, along with probe.
I've got an idea. Can you search 1623?
1623. Is that on the Motion of the Human Heart by Harvey? Was that 1628? I think that was 1628.
No, 1623 was the first... Shakespeare's first folio was collated and published.
Was collated, okay. Cicatrix, cockroach, droll, fulmin, judiciary, mandingo, relaxed, self-torture, Scotch woman. Apparently, there were no women in Scotland. They just believed they popped out of holes in the ground.
Yeah.
Foliation, cowboy.
Wow.
I never... Inseminate, here we go. Inseminate, lubricate. What a word. Magniloquence. The quality or state of being magniloquent, which is... speaking in or characterized by high-flown, often bombastic style or manner. It's Ed Dunn. Ed Dunn is magniloquence personified. This is such an interesting tool. This will be in the show notes. Hey, when was St. Peter's? St. Peter's was formed in 1961, I think. Yeah, let's go with that. Wow, AA Battery, Lip Sync, Mai Tai, Neocolonialism. Porny.
Mai Tai and neocolonialism.
Yeah. Welly. Wazoo. Trifluorine. Oh. I got these two confused. One above each other, you have transformational grammar and wankle engine, which I definitely read as transformational wank engine. And I really wanted to know what that was. Wow. Oh, this is so cool. Sorry,
that is very cool.
We're going to fall down this rabbit hole. We should probably move on to Patreon corner, shouldn't we?
Let's do it.
Oh, bloody hell. Top lad.
So we find ourselves in Patreon corner. I'm sure you all know the deal by now, but this is the area of the podcast where we'd like to say a massive thank you specifically to our top lads. These wonderful people support the podcast with $5 a month. They allow us to make our monthly donation to Wikipedia. Is it monthly or weekly?
It's monthly.
Our monthly donation to Wikipedia. Seamless.
You can tell which one of us handles the financials.
Absolutely. And generally kind of contribute towards the kind of the Wikipedia pot of money that allows Simon and I to do really interesting things, be it visiting each other and kind of being able to do some more interesting kind of live collaborations, or being able to venture out into kind of merchandise, which we did, which was hilarious.
Can we get an update on the John Rutter Memorial Home for Injured Swans t-shirts?
To be honest, naught has changed since the last time we spoke about it because I've been dissertationing this week. I've been trying to sort out what I want to do. So,
well, I can. Everyone else can suck it because I have my own one now because Pixel Girl for my
Liv
birthday,
sent me a message actually saying, "Don't get Simon one. I'm doing it." I was like,
I
okay.
like how she thought that you were actually going to make them. Like, it's charming that she thought you were actually going to design them and get them made in a tiny time frame.
They will be made at some point, but yeah, just not.
Yeah, not within
right
a
now.
week. She made one for me, which is gloriously bad. It's right at that point of being terrible, where it's become good again. I absolutely love it. Everyone else is going to have to wait for Dan's design, but that is an example of where the money is going to go in terms of the initial stuff actually made for that. I'm very excited for what you come up with.
But this is the kind of the time of the podcast where we'd like to say thank you. So without further ado, I would like to say a massive thank you to Ben Dent, Ben McMurtry, and Billy Toulson.
I would like to thank Choco Cat, Connor Pull the Levers, and our favourite Danish resident, Dan Hanvey.
Davy Schramm Vonterbell, David Scahill, and Elliot Conway.
Eric Davis, Habiba Amjad, who now has her own command on my Twitch channel. If you type !Habiba, you get she has Twitter in response from the bot. And Henry Brewster.
Isabel Ostrovsky, Jay Wright, and John Mannion.
Geordie Eschendahl, Kyle Not Very Much, Lachlan Woods.
Lewis Watson, Lindsay Van Ryn, Marut Fakira Punyawat.
Matt Maguire, Fee Gascoigne, Rory Healy.
Simon Torseth, Simon Vase, Tapio Kirkinen.
The Boostache Man, and wonderful Stephen.
Thank you so much, guys. As we say every week, you keep this podcast afloat. You know, one of the biggest things that we use these donations for is just allowing us to pay for hosting, which just allows us to keep making this weird thing that people seem to like. So, thank you so much.
Our initial goal for this project was $12 a month, which actually doesn't even cover hosting now because it's I guess because we become more popular, we have to pay more for hosting.
Yes, we do.
I think. So that covers half of the thing now. But now we're up to $177 a month. So we can actually afford to, if we reach $200 a month, then we're going to be donating £50 to Wikimedia every month. So what's that like? What is 50? I'm just going to, at the time of recording, that's $64, and then that gives $100 that we can then put into, for example, getting the merchandise made and various other expenses. Like the hosting, for example. So it's kind of nuts how this project has grown, really, and you guys really do make it possible. But the people who don't make my life possible are the people that keep putting money in for Team Dog. Because it's still winning with 36 patrons to the 28 patrons of Team Cat. I feel like we've been stuck in this position for weeks, guys. Come on, guys. I know that a lot of you who like dogs really like cats as well. Just pop your donation amount over to Team Cat. Just change it over. I'm ill. Make me feel better, please. I'm dying here. Oh, please. For just $1 a month, you can save a Simon's life. Oh, please do it, guys. I need this. I need this win. Top lad. Okay, so we now find ourselves in Crisis Corner, and you may recall that we changed things up last week based on the success of 2 episodes ago? I think it was 2 episodes ago. Where we got you guys, the readers, to respond to the crisis that a fellow reader was in, that had been emailed into spongyelectric@gmail.com with the subject line Crisis Corner. Anybody can do so, and what we've been getting you guys to do is send in your response. So this corner is now going to work as follows. We're going to read out your responses to the crisis from last week, which we're going to recap, and then at the end of it, Dan is going to read out a new crisis for next week, and we invite you, yes you, dear reader, because the more responses we get, the better, to respond to it. And everything that gets sent into this corner is anonymized. We're not going to read out your name, so you can be as harsh in your advice as you like. And hopefully we're actually going to try and help some people out. But without further ado, so the crisis from last week was from Anonymous, you may remember. And basically, Anonymous was in the 3rd year of their degree and looking for options for postgraduate study. And there were 3 options. Basically, go to a different uni, to the current undergraduate one, after they finish their 3-year course. The second option was to stay at the current uni and apply for an MSc after doing the 3-year course. And the third option was to stay at the university and then transfer to a 4-year course so they don't graduate with their friends. And then they go straight on into the master's level qualification. And basically the downsides were, in the first case, if they went to a different uni to the undergraduate one, they would be sleeping on a sofa because they'd be living at home, and they wouldn't have very much money, basically. The second option, they would have very little money to live on, but they'd be living away from home. And then the third option, it would be kind of okay financially because they'd be able to get a loan for it. So those were the options that Anonymous was presented to us. And now, Dan, would you like to read out some responses that the readership has offered to this crisis?
So we have some responses here. From this one's coming from Anonymy. Anonymy says, "Hi Anonymous. As a uni student who has lived at home for the majority of my studies, I can highly recommend living at home and commuting to campus. I know it can be hard to find quiet places to study. Luckily, as a student, you have access to libraries. Noises can be really distracting, but I've found a good part of noise cancelling headphones helps a lot. A good pair of noise-cancelling headphones helps a lot. I've been lucky enough, because I've lived at home, to limit my paid work when uni becomes stressful and have built up a support network. Coming home from a long day of study to a home-cooked meal is the most brilliant thing. It's not always been ideal, and while I have wanted to be more independent at times, it's been so helpful to know I don't have to get all of my coursework done, as well as all the housework, cooking and cleaning. There are lots of things to consider. I wish you all the best." And that's from Anonymy.
So Anonymy is basically saying you should that they think the best option is to stay at home and go. This is option A, and go for a course at a different university. Right. Okay. So then we have another response from Anonymaze. They've actually signed off as Anonymaze. They write, "Dear Dan, Simon, and Anonymous, after reading the podcast this afternoon, I felt this might be one of those rare occasions where I could offer the reader in crisis some advice. I'm currently in the final week of corrections, for a master's by research in genetics. I studied at a high-pressured university in the northeast of England. At this university, the integrated master's degrees involve 6-month research project, while the MRes degrees involved a full 12 months of research. I'm assuming this is also the case that the uni Anonymous is considering moving to for their masters. A lab-based masters is really hard work. You're essentially working a more than full-time job and then doing reading on the side. I think Anonymous should consider what they want to do after their masters, particularly whether they are seriously considering doing a PhD or not. If they are, I would probably advise them to go for that option, which is going to make their life easiest, and switch to the integrated masters program. They can still go to the graduation ceremony and hang out with their friends, even if they are not graduating themselves. If they are, I would personally probably opt for staying at the same university and doing the MRes degree, which offers more extensive training. I lived on £12.50 a week, wow, while doing mine, and it was hard. Having my own family free space with a good bed to sleep in made a big difference. I don't know how supportive Anonymous's parents are, but considering Anonymous is the first in their family to go to university, I think they are likely to perform better when living in an environment where others are also in study mode, and where they are unlikely to have to spend energy on interacting with or being responsible for younger siblings while dealing with their uni work. I hope this is useful. Feel free to put Anonymous in touch with me if it's any help. Anonymaze." So that's an interesting one. That's basically saying why are you interested in doing the masters? You know, is it for the research side of things or not? And in a way, that's a difficult question to answer, I imagine, because I think most people don't know if they want to do a PhD until they have done a research qualification of some kind. I knew from my first foray into research in my third year at Oxford that I wanted to do a PhD, and so that's why I followed the route I did. I can't remember off the top of my head whether Anonymous even said that they had done any research before or if they were considering a PhD. So that offers like a kind of a tree, you know, that's saying if this, then that. What's your take, by the way, on Anonymous's crisis, Dan?
I think it's actually kind of helpful to think about why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's not only then useful to think about the options as to what you're doing when you decide to do this masters, but also maybe thinking about it more could inform on whether it's the right decision or not. And I think there's a lot of times when if you're not quite sure what you want to do, sod it, I'll go and do a masters as well. You know, it's another year, it gives you a bit more time to play with, blah blah blah. But it's kind of really valuable to question those ones. I think the Anonymy's advice about having lived at home and found it fine is probably really, I think it's probably one of the most daunting ones. So it's really nice to hear that. Oh, hang on, sorry, bear with me just a second.
There's a bear with him. Oh my god!
The security light just went off in the garden. I wanted to see who was there.
Was it a bear?
I think it was a bear. Yes, it's
I
fine.
knew it. I mean, I think for what it's worth, my advice to Anonymous would be to change what the second half of what Anonymous said, which is to change to the 4-year degree. And, you know, it sucks to not be graduating with your friends. But at the end of the day, I think it's probably worth it in the long run. It's a short-term pain, a long-term gain. Yeah, I think you've got to think about it kind of strategically. And I'm just going to get Anonymous's email up. In the first place, if I can just find it. So, you know, you would have not a huge amount of money to live on, but it's considering, well, you're saying, Anonymous, that where you are at the moment, it would be comfortable. So I feel like that's the best of both worlds. You get the integrated masters, you continue to get the loan, you can live more comfortably, and you don't have to live at home. And I know, I'm just reading this from Anonymous's original email, that they won't have a qualification in the bank. Now, I can sort of understand the psychological aspect of that, but for what it's worth, I did that. I had a 4-year undergraduate where I had a master's at the end and no 3-year qualification. It's never harmed me, you know, in the subsequent years. So I honestly wouldn't worry too much about that. My advice, as someone who's gone through the science masters and then gone on to do the research stuff in the PhD, would be to go to the 4-year integrated. Whereas you seem to be leaning more towards changing universities and going back home, Dan. Okay, well,
I think to be honest, you know, it's so subjective. I think I think I would have been perfectly happy doing an integrated masters.
The other thing to point out is that from a research perspective, if you're interested in doing research, then sometimes supervisors can look unfavorably on people who stayed at their university for their entire experience. That's more to do with going from undergraduate to PhD, I think. People who go from undergraduate to masters and stay at the same place doesn't seem to be such an issue. But just generally, if you see someone who stays at one university for whatever it's going to be, like 9 to 10 years, then it can look a little bit suspect. But I wouldn't worry about that. I think I'm sticking with my guns of moving to the 4-year course.
We have one last very succinct and helpful bit of advice from Jackonymous. Jackonymous says, hello.
You can't do that if that's their name.
Well, that's how he signed off, so I assume it's going to be fine. We haven't said a last name.
All right.
That's how they've signed off. I don't want to assume gender here. Anyway, Jackonymous says, hello. For perspective, I had a 3-year undergrad in physics, student finance with a minimum of I think that's a typo, with a minimum £3 maintenance for rent and having, because I say that's very, very cheap maintenance and rent. Anyway, moved to a higher uni for an MSc, student loan for the course, and then had to work part-time to survive, lived at a friend's house, very tough year, and I'm now doing a PhD there. I too loved my undergraduate at uni, but fundamentally they did not provide the level of physics in the area I was wanting to enter that was for me. And now Jackonymous is going to go into a breakdown of the options that our original Anonymous gave, and Jackonymous' thoughts on these ones. So option 1, he thinks that sounds awful unless nowhere else provides the MSc you're looking for. Home distractions can considerably affect your work. My partner went from averaging 2-1 undergrad home to a 75% hit in here masters living away. Option 2, think sounds the best. It's the perfect course for you, as well as being in what you want to pursue. If so, you'll find a way to do it. For me, working 1 day a week for a year should make this option viably financial for you, and remember, it's only for a year, he presumes. And option 3, Jackonymous thinks it's also very valid. The experience from this too is arguably staying on the MPhys would have been easier, but the modules provided in the final year and the project I would have had to do would have made little reference to the area I'm interested in, and thus I knew I had to move. Hopes this helps. Jackonymous. So Jackonymous thinks 2, then 3, then 1 in terms of preference. 2 and 3 are pretty close together. 1, Jack's not sold on.
Right. So basically, whatever you choose to do, Anonymous, you've got someone who's got your back, it appears.
They all provide different arguments, though, I suppose. So it's hopefully it's going to be helpful for Anonymous to think. And have some other thoughts.
I've only just realised from the original Anonymous. So our Anonymous who was in Missouri, I didn't realise we had a response from them in response to the responses they had.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me read this out. Okay, so I've only just noticed this. Sorry, this is not planned at all. Anonymous writes, hi Simon and Dan again. Textwall 2.0 here. It's Vsauce. I'm absolutely astonished by the response I've gotten on this issue. I haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast in the last couple of weeks because I mostly listen to it on long car rides. Fun fact: once I turned on a new Wikicast episode when I left my house, and the episode ended exactly when I pulled into my university parking lot. Bloody hell, that's a long commute. And frankly, I expected that you two would consider the topic too heavy for the podcast. It would get drowned out by other emails and never replied to. When I got your email, I was absolutely stunned and rushed to listen to the newest episode, only to find out that you had dedicated 2 whole crisis corners to it. So this must be when I forwarded the email for the fellow student at the same university to Anonymous. I'm so incredibly grateful for the things everyone has said, and the support from you two and the community means so much to me. I've just joined the fan Discord where I can discuss this stuff in a more conversational atmosphere. Thank you guys so much. And he actually adds, and he explicitly says, I can say this in the podcast, that they are Drokrath on the Discord.
Cool.
So Drokrath. Drokrath.
Oh, welcome to the community and welcome to the Discord. Enjoy your stay. Please enjoy your welcome pack that'll be in your room when you get there, and the chocolatey mint on your pillow, which will be the only...
The ghost chili chocolate mint.
Yes, there you go.
Which I believe is now being shipped to you, incidentally, just to interject that update. I'm pretty sure that is Vignesh is sending that to us, which is mind-boggling. That's absolutely nuts to me that's happening. Anyway, I'm just going to return to what Anonymous has to say. Anonymouse and Asbestos both hit the nail on the head with the university in question. Everything they said describes it exactly. I am surprised there is a listener who had even heard of and could identify this university, much less that there... Oh my god, my voice is going. Much less that there will be one who currently attends it. I wonder what the actual odds of that are. To be honest, I expect they're incalculable. I think you're probably right. Moving out in the middle of the year is a little more common here, but still, whenever anyone does it, it does attract a lot of attention. Unfortunately, I cannot move out with my girlfriend because she goes to another university about 2 hours away in St. Louis, and my university requires that you live on campus for the first 2 years of your degree. Nearly there. Not sure if there should be a crisis corner. I feel bad taking up 3 of those, or correspondence corner, or neither. Whatever, here it is. Also, just a few side notes for fun. I am majoring in physics, which is how I found this podcast, through Simon's channel. By the way, Team Cat, but dogs are great too. Sincerely Anonymous. Well, I'm so glad that I noticed that, because that's fantastic. That moving out to stay with your girlfriend seemed like the perfect get out clause. But if that's not possible, the fact that we've just been able to sort of reassure you that there are other people, there's another person at your university who gets it, and you're now in touch with them. That's astonishing to me. So Anonymous, that's 07. I'm saluting you. Go forth into that night, brave soul. It's astonishing work, everyone. Well done. Now, do we have a crisis for people to respond to next week that is not my health, Dan?
I believe we do.
Well, would you like to read it out?
So here we go. This is our crisis for this week. Once again, it's from, I believe you pronounce it Anonymous. So as we're going to say, we're going to read this one out. Simon and I are going to hold off our thoughts, and then next week we're going to return with kind of our thoughts and chiming in on the issue, and hopefully again more of our readership's incredible advice, because you guys do such an incredible job. So without further ado, from Anonymous. Okay, so this is quite light, mild crisis, more of a korma than a real spicy... Nice, very good.
It's a 1 on the Nando scale of spicy crises.
It's no Vindaloo. So feel free to neglect me if someone has a more serious crisis that isn't just a fifth of life crisis. Some background. I'm a year 12 student studying maths, further maths and computer science at A-level. So when I was 11, I started coding and I fell in love with it and quickly decided that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. I decided on doing a CS degree, but as I moved through high school, I started to really, really enjoy maths, and so the natural progression was changed in my mind to maths and computer science. But here's the issue. I've always enjoyed writing and reading too. The first job I wanted to do was be an author because of Philip Pullman when I was a kid. Understandable. Yeah. And during GCSEs, I really fell in love with philosophy. I decided I was going to take it as a 4th A-level, but at the last minute, after it had already been confirmed, I was told, in fact, I couldn't do it because of timetabling, and now I'm really missing it, and missing writing and essays and reading much more than I ever thought I would. I've been preparing for a debate competition at school, which has really confirmed my love for argument. I'm dreading the competition being over, so I have to stop. On top of this, I've sort of fallen out of love with CS, computer science. I still enjoy it, but no longer feel like that passion is there, and I had when I was smaller, and I'd would prefer a mathematical career than one in computer science. So I've been looking at maths and philosophy degrees, such as the ones at Warwick and Oxford. I got amazing results at GCSE, 7 9s, 3 8s, and an A, which confirmed I could do whatever I wanted academically with any of my subjects.
Calm down, Billy Big Bollocks.
Yeah. So as I know you two have experience in higher education, I thought I'd ask, what should I do? Is it a philosophy half instead of a CS half going to really limit me in terms of careers that I don't succeed in maths? I know how difficult research jobs are to get, or will it be more open, i.e. jobs that are more writing based? Will it be a waste of time if I'm going into maths anyway? What complicates the issue is that I think I have social anxiety. I'm not diagnosed. Typically, I'm too anxious to openly talk about it, but I feel like it's a pretty certain thing. This means that if I do decide to change my plans to philosophy, I'm going to really struggle to tell my mum and friends and everyone. Maths and CS is the expectation now, and I'm talking about it like it's going to be really difficult. But then again, I don't want to regret my choices at uni and kicking myself because of my social anxiety. Sorry if this email is a bit haphazard. My thoughts are all over the place at the moment. I know I've got a while to decide, but I'm already going to open days and want to be as prepared as possible for the next October, so it's causing me quite a bit of anxiety. And like I say, feel free to ignore me. I'm sure there are people with much more pressing issues. Thanks, a no moose. Well, a no moose. That's crazy.
Otherwise known as Billy Big Bollocks, officially now.
You've got a lot of stuff to. Well, I kind of understand where he's coming from. Obviously GCSE results are amazing. They're not going to be as influential on your uni applications than A-level results, from what I can understand of A-levels. But that was something that I had from doing the IB, in that because you have to take a subject from every single discipline, in terms of being limited by what you want to study, you're basically not. You can pretty much do everything. It's just whether you really want to, and if you get decent grades. But just by having such a colossal spread of subjects, it's quite hard to try and zone in on one particular thing, which I think is what you're trying to get at. So I understand you from that point.
But what do you think, dear reader? What should a no moose do?
A no moose do? Is it going to be pure computer science? Is it going to be computer science and maths? Is it going to be computer science and philosophy? Is it going to be something else entirely?
Are they going to get those big bollocks removed?
Yeah. We'll have to see until next week.
Well, actually, it's going to be 2 weeks, I think, because I am away on holiday. Well, it might be next week. We'll see. Basically, get your answers in as soon as possible, please, because we don't actually have that many days normally between releasing and recording. So it doesn't matter how incoherent you think your thoughts are. We want to hear from you, as many readers as possible. We want to know what you think a no moose should do. Write in to spongyelectric@gmail.com with a Crisis Corner response in the subject line, and in the next episode we'll be reading out your responses and your attempts to help out a no moose.
Amazing.
A no big bollock moose. God, that sounds terrifying. How would it be able to move? If the bollocks, I'm imagining they're like beach balls.
With great difficulty, I imagine.
Like very delicately trying to tiptoe its back legs around.
And with that, we're going to be calling the episode now. We do have some amazing other correspondence and some equally brilliant fan fictions. We're going to have to save those until next week or potentially 2 weeks' time.
When I've got my voice back. Time of death for Simon's voice. It's 9 p.m. on the dot.
That was a solid. It's been a nearly an hour and a half recording session for us, and I think Simon's done admirably. But it's very much time to stop because we don't want things to get too silly.
The things I do for you people, the things I put myself through. This makes me no money. I'm doing this to myself. Yeah, we'll be back like in a week or two or whatever. I kick off the script, don't I? So Dan, what have we learned today?
Oh shit, I haven't got the thing.
Oh, you muppet.
Wait, I need to. I was looking at I changed it to the Patreon. Oh. What was it called?
God, it's all falling apart at the end.
Oh my God, what actually was it called?
It was a Christian rock album. It was Imagine Leviathans or something like that.
Oh, fuck.
You beansed it. You got beans all over you right now. Go in your history and search for rock or something.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Psalm 104. That's what we want. Rivers in the Wasteland. There we go. Simon, we were talking about Rivers in the Wasteland, the fifth studio album by American Christian rock band Need to Breathe.
It was rated 10 squares.
It was rated 10 squares. They even made it into the charts, not just the Christian charts or the nominated for the Best Contemporary Christian Music Performance or Song category at the 57th Annual Grammy Awards. But they actually they made it into the Billboard Hot 100. They were 98, but they're still in the 100.
Still in there. It's more than we've done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we talked about that. Yeah, we talked about the Blackburn Cathedral. Hearing our friend Dr. Jones's music being performed on national radio.
I think I briefly mentioned Herbert Sumption's They That Go Down to the Sea in Ships, which is
we had our choral
awesome.
Piece of the week, and I think Tapio actually sent us a jingle.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot. Oh, God. You can tell that I'm not with it because I was actually really looking forward to doing that. That'll have to wait till the next episode. But yes.
But thank you, Tapio. That's awesome.
And then we talked about where words came from, which years words came from, which was like the best thing we ever learned.
We briefly touched upon Early Man and how it's rubbish.
We talked about Red Dead Redemption 2. Or
we did.
Hooty, rooty, tooty, McShooty, or whatever the fuck it's called.
And then we just launched straight into to the crises, which were interesting. We got some amazing feedback as always. Thank you again so much. I really that's the segment I look forward to each week now, because the advice that you get and being able to have it feels like we have a much deeper connection to the readership when you guys write in. So it's amazing.
Well, that's it, Wally. Look, there's a bear.
That's a Wally.
That's a Wally.
Thanks.
Wally. That's all for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us in your podcasting service of choice. You can like us on Facebook, and if you'd like to see our faces, tough.
Or you can check out our YouTube channel, Spongy.
No, there are no faces on there, Dan. There's the same number of faces on that YouTube channel as there are in the podcast logo. If you want to see our faces, just look at the logo. That's what we look like, but with more colour.
Yeah. Less yellow, less jaundice.
Yeah, though apparently people can recognise you absolutely fine from that image, so we really nailed you.
Crisis advice, spooky Halloween stories, and other thoughts on the show can be sent to us at spongyelectric@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, fuck! This was meant to be our Halloween special!
We'll just do it. We'll do a delayed one. It'll be like it'll be the Halloween special in like mid-November.
Next episode will be our Halloween special, guys. We meant to do it this week, but I'm ill, alright, and I'm clearly the brains of the operation, so that meant that we forgot, okay?
Well, there we go. For the Halloween special, readers, you have a challenge. I want you to go to the deepest, darkest corners of Reddit and find the most underwhelming Halloween stories, and we shall read them out on air. We'll do dramatized readings, much like we did with the lyrics earlier in the episode.
Please,
and it'll be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, please. Well, with that said, join us again for another tumble.
That's it. That's the end. He's done. He's finished. He's gone. Oh, there we go. He's okay. Well, yeah. Do join us again for another tumble down the wiki rabbit hole. And we'll definitely try and see you next time. I think Simon will be here next time. Bing, 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 bing.
Bing, 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 bing,
Oh my
bing,
god,
bing,
there's
bing,
loads
bing,
of
bing, bing.
correspondence. Okay, I'm going to move some stuff around.
Correspondence, give me your dream. Bum, 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 bum. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Bum, 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 bum. It better be cute because I have met Corin 5 minutes in my life, and he's really cute. Bum, 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 bum.